I went into the restroom, and I was in the stall. I was locked in the stall, doing my business, whatever, and a man's voice was suddenly yelling in the restroom, and it wasn't just like someone yelling from the door, like you know, the maintenance guys do when they're cleaning. It was someone in the restroom. And
what was he yelling?
He was yelling.
Do you know what he was yelling?
He was yelling all this stuff about and beating them up, and how he's going to protect, I guess, his wife or his girlfriend. Whoever was with him was yelling at him, "Babe, get out! Babe, get out! Baby, you gotta get out of here!" And I was the only one in the restroom.
You just watched a portion of a TikTok posted by Amber Janae and her daughter Dani Davis, where they explain how Dani was followed into a Walmart bathroom in Lake City, Florida, which is a small town, by some transphobic creep who perceived her to be trans. So by accosting her and threatening her, he believed that he was defending women or some shit like that. Now, Dani is not a trans woman. In fact, she's a cis woman, and she goes on to explain that her family is actually uncharacteristically tall, and Dani is 6'4", so she thinks that she was probably profiled because of her height, which is possible because, I mean, transvestigators have a history of targeting women for some arbitrary reason, namely because they don't meet their specific subjective criteria for who is and isn't a real woman. I mean, earlier this year, a 19-year-old cis woman was followed into a different Walmart bathroom, this time by 2 cops, because they thought that she was a man, when in actuality, she's a masculine-presenting lesbian. But lesbians aren't the only targets, because a 24-year-old straight cis woman was followed into a bathroom in Las Vegas by a different transphobe who thought that she was trans because she had a short haircut. I mean, even the dumbasses in Congress who push anti-trans hysteria the hardest, who purport to be experts on the subject, by the way, tried to kick a cis woman out of a bathroom at the Capitol because they thought that she was trans. So it just goes to show you how transphobia harms all women, including cis women, but the people who viciously target trans people under the pretense of protecting women don't seem to understand that, or they don't care. But what makes Dani's story different is that this incident occurred when she was working. She works at Walmart. She's worked at Walmart for 7 years, and this man followed her into the bathroom during one of her shifts. And she goes on to explain in that TikTok how terrified she was because she thought that he would be there waiting for her when she got out. But thankfully, he wasn't there. So naturally, she reports the incident to her supervisor, and days later, she learned that that incident actually cost her her job. I'll repeat, she was fired because she was harassed by a transphobe.
It scared me a lot. I left a few minutes later. I was really glad that, I was afraid he'd be out there waiting for me, honestly. And, sorry, it's hard to talk about.
Okay, baby, you're doing good.
I went back to my area.
Took an anxiety pill?
I did. I took an anxiety pill and calmed down enough to tell my direct supervisor who was there.
So your direct supervisor is your lead, correct?
Team lead.
Your
yes.
Team lead. That's who your direct supervisor is.
Walmart vernacular.
Okay.
And so I told her what had happened and why it had scared me so much. And she listened to me. A couple days later, I went into work for the start of my week, and I got pulled into the office by 3 coaches and told that I was terminated for the incident because I did not report it to a salaried member of management.
So, and then what else did they say?
They said it was a security risk that I did not report it to the correct member of management.
So what do you feel like they were saying was a security risk?
I feel like they were saying I was a security risk, that they were concerned that something might happen if he had been more dangerous. It could put other people at risk.
So let me get this straight. She's a security risk because she's a tall woman and thus is likely to be perceived to be trans, which could invite anti-trans harassment. Therefore, it's necessary to fire her to protect everyone else from said anti-trans harassment. You know, don't ban the customers and kick them out of the store for being transphobic. Punish the employees who are perceived to be trans. This is a level of victim blaming that is unheard of. And it's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. So, I mean, do you just use this at this location as a rationalization to discriminate against trans and non-binary people altogether? Are they also security risks because them being trans might lead to transphobic harassment from customers? I mean, what if a straight male worker acted too effeminate and people perceived him to be gay? Would you fire him to avoid the ire of homophobic customers? I mean, they could literally use this excuse as a justification to fire anyone for any reason. They could terminate all non-white employees so as to avoid endangering the white employees from potential customers who might be racist. Yeah, it just kind of seems like they wanted to discriminate. And they want to make sure that they made it clear to the employees that they're going to defend transphobes and not trans people or people who are perceived to be trans. And I love that they threw in the whole technicality about, we have to fire you because you didn't report this to the right manager. Fuck off. That's bullshit and they know it. This is how Walmart treats their employees, right? This is how they treat one of their employees who was there for 7 years. And it's not surprising since the same corporation forces all of their employees to watch anti-union propaganda videos and subjects them to this daily humiliation ritual.
We are Walmart. We are Walmart. Everybody, one more time. We are Walmart.
We are Walmart. We're all Walmart. We're one big happy family. Even though, you don't reap the rewards of your labor and we take all the profits at the top, we love you. We love each other. We're like one big happy family. Just make sure that you monitor your fellow family members to make sure that they're not unionizing. Otherwise, we're going to have to kick them out of the family. So be suspicious of them. Watch them. If they're a little bit too chatty, make sure that you ask them about what they're doing so that way they don't form a union. By the way, can you imagine me doing that? I don't know if they still do this, but when I worked for Walmart for a couple of months when I was in grad school, they forced us to do this shit. They literally forced us to do this shit. And as you can imagine, doing that made me want to kill myself. Now, like all multinational corporations, they don't give a fuck about their employees. But there's something uniquely gross about a corporation forcing their workers to express enthusiasm for a company like that. You're going to clock in and they make you do that weird fucking ritual. And on top of that, they all kind of like pay fealty to Sam Walton like he's some sort of demigod. Even the way that the employees talked about Sam Walton as if he was this altruistic man and not a ruthless capitalist was very bizarre and almost culty to me. It's just weird. But the silver lining about this shitty corporation is that even though Walmart doesn't give a shit about their employees, they do care about a lawsuit. And when Dani made a post about this on Facebook asking for advice on what to do, it blew up. And that forced the company into damage control mode, where the Washington Post reports on Thursday, Davis got an email from the company offering to reinstate her employment with back pay, but she said she was hesitant to return to Walmart. Quote, "I think it would just be a hostile environment to return to," she said. Yeah, and I can't say I blame her since they basically fired her for getting harassed because somebody thought that she was trans. I mean, how do you not, if you're a supervisor, review the security camera footage and try to figure out which customer this was so that way you can ban them from coming into the store? How do you blame the employee for getting harassed by a customer who followed her into the bathroom? I can't wrap my head around it. Like, they're complicit here. So the fact that they're only offering her to be rehired and back pay, that's not enough. See, they're trying to get her to not file a wrongful termination lawsuit. They're trying to smooth this over, but the reason why they're doing that, the reason why they're making that offer is because this went viral and people are recommending that she take legal action, which she should do. But I mean, I don't blame her for not wanting to go back because that's very clearly not a great environment to be in. And what makes the story even more heartbreaking to me is this, quote, Davis, who is gay, said she has felt disheartened as conservatives have stepped up attacks on LGBTQ plus rights. She is hoping to leave Florida, but she said the sudden loss of her job complicated those plans. The intolerance. I hear it all the time, Davis said. It just feels like everything's closing in on me. And I find that really sad because this is obviously just a regular ass person who's trying to get by, trying to mind their own business, and she still has to put up with that kind of bullshit. Still has to tolerate intolerance just to get a paycheck. That is sad. That is so sad. And you could tell she's just very shy. Her mom is the one who made that TikTok and tried to ask her questions to guide her through it because she was very clearly traumatized. What a gross situation. My heart absolutely goes out to her. But with that being said, her mom did create a GoFundMe to help her in this time, which I'm going to link to down below. You know, it seems like she might have already found a new job, which is good. At least that's what her Facebook says. I don't know for sure. Either way, feel free to send her a couple of bucks if you can afford it because she seems like a really good person. Her mom does too. And she and her mom made it clear in that video that the transphobic harassment that she experienced isn't uniquely wrong because she's a cis woman. It would have been wrong if she were trans too.
My heart goes out to the people that really are transgender because
No one should deal with this.
nobody should.
Terrifying.
It's scary.
No one should deal with this just trying to feel comfortable in their own skin.
Well said. The fact that there are so many anecdotes of transphobic creeps following women into bathrooms because they think that they're protecting women is disgusting. But this story goes so much deeper than Walmart's mishandling of the situation because this phenomenon is the direct result of the lawmakers and influencers who defame trans women, who call them bathroom predators, who insinuate that they're threats to cis women. Those people are directly responsible for the increase in harassment of both trans and cis women. People like J.K. Rowling, Matt Walsh, Nancy Mace, to a lesser extent Anna Kasparian, who now doesn't know about locker rooms, as if trans people are a threat to other individuals in locker rooms. They're there to do what you're doing as well. They're not different. They're not uniquely predatory. You are the one who is a predator who's preying on this marginalized community that just wants to live their fucking lives. But I mean, when you relentlessly fearmonger about trans women, you're not protecting cis women. You're not protecting them from cis women. You are endangering all women when you throw trans women under the bus. And look, these people know this. They know that cis women also don't meet the subjective criteria for womanhood for some people. And as a result of this anti-trans hysteria, cis women too have experienced this type of harassment. But that's something that they just don't care about. It's a price that they're willing to pay just to hurt trans women. They're okay with women like Dani being collateral damage in their war against trans people just to make sure that trans people are hurt the most. It's despicable. An attack on trans women is an attack against all women. But don't take it from me. Take it from one of the many cis women like Dani who've been targeted by transphobes for not being woman enough.
Mom, I'm gay. Gays. Mom, I'm transgender.